Notice hereby given that a special meeting of the town of Laguna Beach, Texas will be held Tuesday, the 22nd day of August, 2023 at 6 p.m. The town of Laguna Beach City Hall, Laguna Beach, Texas, 78578. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.127, one or more members of the town council may attend, participate in the video conference. A quorum of the town council will be physically present at the above meeting location. The following items will be discussed. Follow order. Invocation and pledge.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for all the many blessings that you bestow upon us in our community every day, Lord. We thank you for helping us through this storm today, Lord, and keeping us safe. Lord, we ask you tonight to be with us through your grace and love. Impart upon us kindness and forethought as we make decisions on behalf of our community, our citizens, and our guests. Lord, we ask you to be with those who serve and protect us in our police department and our life-saving fire department, Lord, and we ask you to be with all those who serve others and those who need you the most. In your son's name we pray, amen. Amen.
Republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On this next flag, I pledge allegiance to the sector, one faith, under God, one indivisible.
Member Romero? Councilmember Howard? Councilmember Tolan?
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Here.
Councilmember Bryant?
Here.
Councilmember Digglebale?
Here.
Mayor Carter?
Here. Howard.
Motion to excuse Ms. Howard.
Motion made by Mr. Bryant, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez to excuse Ms. Howard from the meeting.
Councilmember Romero?
Yes.
Councilmember Tolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Digglebale?
Yes.
Mayor Carter?
Yes. Open forum. And at this time, I am allowed 3 minutes per person to address the council on any topic. There will be no discussion or formal action taken during this agenda item. Speaker must identify themselves before speaking. Speaker request form must be presented to the city secretary prior to the meeting. First, we have Laura Lyon.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lorelei Helmke. I'm a home at 30 Laguna Madre Drive. I've been a resident here for very long time. My husband and I share between here and Bernie, Texas, which is located in Kendall County. And I heard about this proposed tax to hire 4 EMS people for our community. I wanted to come address you with some options that we do in Kendall County. I want you to know what happens in other areas of the state. In Kendall County, in fact, Bergheim recently, well, last year, set out to create an emergency services district that I was a part of. I have a little bit of information on how those work, not much, just enough to be dangerous. So I'll let you know. I just want to lay out some information. Kendall County, the cities do not have their own EMS departments. It is a Kendall County EMS district. We service 46,788 people as of last year, 663 square miles, and there are 18 full service EMSs. My understanding is you want to hire 4 for 300 or 3,743 people. So in Kendall County, it's 1 EMS person for every 2,599 people. To do what you want would give us, I don't know, 1 for every less than 1,000. Seems a bit much. Laguna Vista has 7 full-time police officers for 3,743 people, plus 1 part-time. The city of Bernie has 23 patrol officers for 19,109 official residences. That's one for every 830 people. Seems to me that the city of Laguna Vista could take some of maybe a part-time officer, offer to train them on EMT, so that we have an EMT response. And we are more in line with numbers and percentages of other counties and cities in the state of Texas. In the area of Bergheim specifically, we also have a volunteer fire department. It is heavily funded by Cordillera Ranch and Waterstone and other HOAs in the area. So the people who own the property, that sell the lots and build the houses, they put a lot of money into our fire department, and it is to their benefit, particularly their financial benefit. So I think that that might be an option for us to look to the HOAs and builders in the area for funding our fire department and our EMS needs. Furthermore, maybe a group of people could come up with some different funding ways to raise money. We have a boat builder, we have Shallow Sport that lives here. We have all kinds of business owners that live in this community that I believe that if the city or the fire department, volunteer fire department, were to work with them to come up with, say, I don't know, a raffle ticket, win a Shallow Sport, push it all year, I'd be willing to bet we could raise $250,000 a year for our fire department, if we just do it. Anyway, that is my information. I would ask that you please table the extra taxes for tonight and let's have further discussions. Thank you.
Daniel? Go ahead, Steve again, I'm sorry.
Bob Blue,
Bob Blue, thank you.
and yours is harder.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, well, I guess you guys voted on the tax thing in the past yesterday, is that right?
Yes, we have to do the second one today.
Oh, you have to do a second one today. Well, anyhow, congratulations, I think it's almost passed. The good news is probably the money will stay in the community. But what was confusing to me, and I think needs clarified, is you quoted several times, you know, some comments by the city of Brownsville on the tax increases and stuff like that. And I think that the people in this community, I would imagine several of them are as equipped as I am to be able to look things up and see what the data is, and also get the sense of what's going on in terms of everyone received reappraisals on their property. So I went to the Cameron County website and I got the certified results of the appraisals. I want to give you some numbers so that you can think about it. The first one is 606,863,745. The second one is 484,523,244. And the last number is 412,843,236. That's according to the website, if I interpret it correctly, that's the appraised value of all the properties in the city of Laguna Vista for 3 years running. Which means over the space of 3 years, it's gone from 412 up to 606. The increase per year is 10.6, 17.4, and then most recently, the biggest one, which is 25.3. And you guys are put through a tax increase for whatever reason. And there's a number of reasons that you're giving. The one that you guys present the most is the one that is most emotional to everyone, and that's about the EMS. But the reality is that's data that everyone has access to. There's a public records. You just go to the website, you download it. Then you go to the file, you hit filter. Everyone has access to that information. So I think in the interest of everyone wanting to do a good job of communicating to the city, you know, the population of the city. We have some explaining to do as to what are they seeing in their mail in terms of their property values going up? What does the aggregate numbers say at Cameron County? And then how do you explain the tax increase?
Thank
And
you.
it needs to be more than the sound bites you gave last night. I'm trying to give you constructive criticism. I start out the conversation thanking every one of you for your service here, and I really mean it. I really do. I love Laguna Vista. It's a great place to live.
Thank you.
New business discussion and consideration of possible action on the following items, ordinance number 2023-05, consideration of possible action on second reading of ordinance number 2023-05, adopting the 2023 ad valorem tax rate for maintenance and operation and for the interest and season fund.
So, before you is the, second reading of 2023-05. There was no changes yesterday, so it's the same document, that you reviewed yesterday, and it's right for, discussion for motion.
Comments?
Like to make a comment. I know that it's not required or even on the agenda to address items from the open forum. But I just wanted to clarify from some historical background, funding from local sources for our fire department. Because it is a very legitimate stance that communities contribute to support the volunteer services that protect them day and night and guard and their property. We have had support for the local fire department come from donations from the community. The fire hall actually did receive a material upgrade and enhancement the last few years. That was through donations.
It was mainly from Gallery Bill Homes.
Exactly. So large builders in the area that contributed to that. CDC put in funds and contributed to the construction work that was done there. And there have been, fishing events, there have been golf tournaments that have been held. The community has done quite a bit to support the men and women that do volunteer, and I think that should be acknowledged and recognized that we have a community that has a lot of heart for each other, and there has been a lot of outpouring to support those that support all of us. I think unfortunately, the situation is that we are still significantly smaller than the community that you are referencing. We do not have as large of entities in the town of Laguna Vista that can make the type of material investment that it would take to put us in a position to have a fully funded and supported EMS department. To initiate an EMS service, it would take over $1 million of initial capital outlay. And then it would be on par with about $500,000 annually thereafter to sustain it, to have the type of EMS service that this town probably does need and deserve, but this is hopefully a stepping stone in order to get us to that point. We don't live in a region where we have a county EMS service. It is the different towns that are providing this. And while we should continue to look for funding mechanisms to support the growth and expansion of our first responder organizations, that doesn't change the dynamic of where we sit right now with independent on other municipalities. We don't have the $1 million to purchase an ambulance service to staff it, to outfit it with all of the medical equipment and medication it would take to operate it. Malpractice and everything else that would take to appropriately run an EMS service. And the hard facts are that, out of hospital cardiac arrest, has a survival and success rate of about 50%. And every minute in delay in appropriate medical care results in 7 to 10% further increase in mortality. So being able to provide rapid, appropriate care to our citizenship, I think, is one of the hallmark duties of government to provide safety and security to our population. I just like to make that comment.
Ms. Gabriel?
And I just, one other little tidbit is our average age here in Laguna Vista. You know, that,
Bernie is the same too.
that is something that's really important to us, and that we like to make sure that it's a safe environment for everybody. And we heard from our residents when I talked to them, this was an issue. This came up over the years all the time, and I'm very proud that we're finally able to provide that to our residents.
I want to say too that we used to partner with Port Isabel to have EMS services and ambulance services. And their price now to go with them is not much more than what we're funding our entire our EMS service for. So we don't have to rely on another city who gets tied up on the island and other calls, so we can have 100% calls here. We contract with Los Fresnos for ambulance services, but they won't give us EMS services. It's just ambulance. And so for a little bit more money, which, I mean, like, we're talking $20,000 more dollars, we can have our own service. And it just doesn't make sense to not do it, because my son had a medical emergency a couple months ago, okay? We called 911. Not one volunteer fire department showed up. Okay, not one, only a police officer showed up, and then we had to wait 20 minutes or so for the ambulance to show up. And I mean, it's not just happened to me, it's happened to a lot of people in this town. And so to be able to contract with other people, we have to rely, because they're busy doing their own cities, and then they get called to the island and Port Isabel and Bayview, and it just doesn't just make sense to give our citizens the ability to have that insurance plan. So this is my opinion, but
May I just simply address one thing?
sure.
Okay. I am not saying that we don't need emergency services. My concern as a taxpayer in this community, a longtime taxpayer in this community, is that the monies that we pay go into a system that has a governance that is an emergency services governed district. So I am simply asking that we table tonight raising the taxes on every single homeowner here until the city, and I'm willing to help wherever I can come together with a plan that doesn't just address the needs this year or next year, but addresses the needs far into the future. And you don't do that by raising tax dollars to go into a general fund to hire more people. You do that by establishing a services district that runs it, that can tax appropriately, can pull in, can tax all different types of taxation, as well as tap into federal and state dollars to ensure the survival of our emergency services. That's what I'm asking. Don't put it into the general fund. Table it tonight. And let's start discussions on a district that the voters can all get behind. That's all. Make it right. Do it the right way.
Well, these funds, as we officially pass the budget. Okay?
The budget can change
The
next
budget
year.
is a legally binding document.
For a year.
Yeah, it is for a year.
For a year, right? What happens in 10 years? This is my concern. This is my concern.
I understand that.
Okay, so
But-
this is what I'm
but-
asking. Have the discussion, talk amongst yourselves.
We've been discussing this for years. Okay, you haven't been to the meetings for years, okay? And we've been dealing with this. We've been trying to figure this problem out for a long time. You guys think that we just came up with this all of a sudden? Which we haven't. We've been discussing this for a very long time, trying to handle this. And there is no government funding in the town of Laguna Vista that will come and help us. Our economic structure here to get grant money is almost impossible to get. And so I wish it was easier.
What's the mechanism that ensures these extra tax dollars go specifically to the EMS? What is that mechanism?
That's report.
It's not. Okay, that answers. my
That's your elected
question.
officials.
Thank you very much. That answers your question.
This got, about 3 years ago, in a young aspect, and this was a, even more, 5 years ago, yeah. Young man passed away. That was a big thing then. And in a sense, again, look for ways. And Laguna Vista has very low business. You know, coming from Bernie, from, and it seems that we just keep putting it to the back. Trying to find ways, it's already been 4 or 5 years since that happened. We're still doing it. And there have been people that are trying to find solutions. Now, Bernie is a very wealthy area, very wealthy, and you know that. It doesn't compare with what we have, you know, at least we have sections that are, sections that are not. So the average is not even close. That's my 2 cents.
There is you have 7 police officers for 3,700 people. Okay, patrol officers, 1 for every less than 500. In Bernie, we have 1 for every 830.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so my suggestion also was perhaps we can take a police officer and train them into EMS, so we're not pulling more people onto the payrolls. Let's talk about the taxpayer. Maybe we can juggle some things, maybe we can train our police officers. Maybe we can do better with the money we have. Okay.
Chief, would you like to talk about that at all? No?
Not really.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
I would like to clarify something. I clarified this last night. So for those of you who were here and had to listen to me say this last night, I apologize. But I do want to clarify one thing so that everybody knows again. And first of all, Ms. Helmy, thank you for your comments. And thank you, Ms. Buckley, for your comments. This tax rate specific to Laguna Vista is a 5% ad valorem tax rate increase, 5%. I want you all to know that equates to 100 on average. Okay, $115 a year per household on average. So, and the money that it's going to generate is about $156,000. That's it. And it's specifically for the CMS department. It's something we've given a lot of thought to. Many of us here are retired on a fixed income or no income at all, myself included. And so we fully understand the significance of this and the importance of this. And I want you all to know how much forethought, as the mayor and others have said, that we've given to this. We feel it is our duty, I don't want to speak for my fellow council members, I feel it's my duty as a representative on this council to do what I feel is best for the community for that small amount of money. I understand the idea of a tax rate is very alarming, particularly right now. My home went up as well. We deal for this small amount of money and this small tax increase, and we have not raised our taxes in this community in over 6 years. And our tax rate is significantly lower than all of the communities around us. So it's for all these reasons that we feel this is the most prudent step at this time. I like your ideas. I think those are things that we can look at going forward. However, we feel it is imperative at this time for life-saving reasons to make this choice. And that's just a little bit of background.
So you're mentioning the history now in 6 years without a tax increase. And then this is the 5% and translates to
It's a
150.
5 cent.
I'm sorry, not 5%. I
5
misspoke, but 5 cents,
It's a
not 5%. I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's part of the issue.
Yes, I'm so sorry. It's a
Yes,
5
thank you.
cent. It's not
Okay.
5%, it's 5 cents. Yes, that's.
Okay, so so you say that equates to 115,
It's actually 111.
111.
That's right here.
Okay, now that sounds very palatable. But when I
$9 and some odd dollars, 9 cents a month.
Yeah, and how can you even hire 4 full-time people for $115,000? My God, I wouldn't want those
No,
guys
no,
working.
sir. That's the cost to the household a year,
It's how much?
$115.
So the tax,
111,
for the tax increase
yes, sir.
altogether, the whole
Yes, sir.
tax increase,
Yes,
just EMS.
It's just the 5 cents.
It's a 5 cent.
Okay, and on average, you pulled the certified value today, right?
Right, I did just
Yeah.
total certified value.
You pulled the certified value.
That's the kind of stuff everyone looks at.
If you look into the certified value, you'll see that the average homestead is actually paying less taxes this year than they were paying in the prior year. I mean, that doesn't make sense to the people that are in this room.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make room to the sense in the people in this room.
Yeah.
Okay, but overall, that's the facts, right? That the average homestead went down. And so investment property, yeah, okay, some higher end places. My properties went up. I understand it's costing me a ton of money, but it's worth it to me. And it's worth it to the people that don't have the wherewithal. Now we can serve those people better. And their taxes actually didn't go up. The majority of them.
What I presented to you is, the first thing I said,
I
is it's a
understand.
communication issue because this is what people are looking at. And what you're saying is correct,
That's correct.
that your tax revenue is only going up $115,000. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir, per household, $111 on average per household. Yes, sir.
115 per household.
Yes.
And then the aggregate for the entire, community is how much?
Are you asking the revenue that's gonna be generated
Yeah.
from that? It's about $156,000, correct?
The revenue being
Right, the 5
brought in
cents, the
from
5
the
cents,
nickel
yes.
raise, 150 something thousand,
That's correct.
and that will cover.
And that will cover the project.
We get on average for every penny that we have, we get about $32,000. Okay,
Okay,
that's on average.
Right.
And so,
So 5.
I mean, it's pretty amazing that it's that small, right? We were amazed also. And it was just like about $32,000 for a penny. It's painful to have to tell people that we want to raise taxes, right? We all pay taxes.
well, especially in this
We all do.
environment with
Exactly.
I mean,
with
we
the
all,
amount of increases that you
we all
have.
went to the Cameron appraisal district and fought our taxes. We all had to deal with that stuff also. And so we're being affected as much as everybody else in this town. And I feel for everybody, but when you look at the numbers, the average homestead is paying less.
And
So let me ask you a related question about the EMS. Put it on 4 people or 5 people? 4.
So then it's
Is
round
that
up.
because you have to cover around the clock?
So we're gonna, yeah,
And it's sort of like it's either 0 or 4?
we're trying to have 24-hour coverage, 7 days a week.
Right, and that's what I mean.
Yes,
You either don't have it or you go at least to 24 hours. It's hard to have, people don't plan their accidents
right.
during the day, you know, so you're having to go from 0, which we have right now, to 4, because 4 is the minimum number to get 24-hour coverage. Is that correct? So then the issue is, what else can you have them do? And then people bring up this issue, you know, like, you know, have the police train, but, you know, I have a business and it's real hard to train people on 2 totally different jobs and have them expert on both.
Not only that, but
And they're not wired that way necessarily.
you have a police officer dealing with an issue on Highway 100. And then there's a medical emergency call. Then the police is already dealing with somebody. With a
Right.
ticket or whatever have you, okay? And not only that, we have a huge increase in mental illness calls lately. Okay, and so when the police go and they have to deal with an individual and they have to go to the hospital and they have a mental illness issue, then the police they have to escort them because no one will take them. The police has to take them to the hospital, then the hospital will not accept the person unless the police stays with them.
Right.
And so that takes police force off of our streets.
Well, I
And then
don't,
we have nobody in town.
yeah, and I don't really think mixing a police officer and an EMS is a good idea because of the wiring that people have and also the training. It takes a lot of effort to be a good police officer and a lot of training, and then there's a wiring that goes on with the way the person is. Same thing with EMS, you know, and it's 2 totally different things. But what about for those people to also be trained in fire, is it the same sort of thing, or?
They're gonna be doing multiple things at the fire station, yes.
So they're gonna be busy on other.
Yes, yes, as much as we can make them be busy, of course we will, yes,
We have a discussion.
yes, I mean, this is one of those, it isn't,
Well, it is one of those
And
things.
there are things.
I mean, like, you gotta remember, it's our tax dollars too, okay? I mean, we
yeah.
pay into this bucket also. And
And, right, and I appreciate that, and that's why I said, you know, congratulations on the tax increase. I'm not gonna sit here and argue stuff, I made my point yesterday and today. But the thing about it is, and I want you to know this from my perspective, this EMS thing is very emotional, very, very emotional. But probably the thing that it's important is to consider this kind of thing carefully when you're adding on people, because the last thing you want to do is to cut back on police protection, because that will take property values down more than anything else. If you have a
I would like to ask
reputation
everybody in this room to think, where do you feel safest? You feel safe
Around
in
here,
Laguna
it's
Vista,
right here.
okay?
anywhere in this
And-
community.
And that's a part of our community, and why would we wanna cut that part of it?
And you don't wanna be in a situation later on where you're saying, man, we got a lot of money. And let's do this, this and this, and then later on, you're having to cut. And then you're cutting police support. That's the last thing you wanna do.
Exactly.
Absolutely the last
And
thing.
we have a development over here on the corner that they plan on putting how many units? 130 units over here. We have, you know, 100+ acres at the golf course that's still gonna be developed. So we're talking about a growth in our town that's coming. And if we don't prepare for that, which we've grown in the last 20 years, how tremendous, right?
And it's all good so far.
Yes.
But let me ask you a question about that.
But in 20 years, we haven't changed a thing as far as, we have the same fire department, the same volunteer fire department. And we're still contracting to have EMS services from outside town.
I understand, and I looked at the map, how far away Lisbon, I mean, to me, Los Fresnos is right down the road.
No, I agree.
It looks bigger on the map,
When we live in, when we live in South Texas, you better know how to drive.
yeah.
That's
But
not a
the,
bad deal at all there.
But the situation is that, one of the other things I wanna ask about, and you talk about people donating like the, you know, the folks with the developers, you know, donating, you know, to the fire department and stuff like that, but answer one question for me so I understand about how this community works. It's a real challenge in some communities because the developers are very well connected into, you know, the politics of what's going on, supporting the community, encouraging various things to happen. But what happens and takes it upside down sometimes is the additional cost of supporting those additional lots and those additional developments is not driven onto the developing lots, it falls back onto the existing lots. And as I mentioned, like yesterday, the people that are already here are paying for their development, which they paid for years ago, whoever owned the house. It's now embedded in the value of the property, but then they're paying additional taxes so that somebody can build 100 houses over here or develop the golf course. Are you guys paying a lot development fee where you go from an unimproved lot and saying? Impact fee. Are you, yeah, are you guys putting an impact fee on the developing of the lots? You say, here's an unimproved lots. Here's your fair share of, you know, let's say by the time you get 1,000 lots, you need maybe two new policemen, I don't know, whatever the ratio is. You know, are you charging impact fees on these lots when they convert from being an undeveloped lot to a developed lot? Because to me, they should pay their fair share of the fraction of the additional infrastructure support they need, and then thereafter pay taxes, and that would be the fairest for everyone. Do we do that here? Or do we just say, you know, thanks for the donation, or I hate to say it, campaign contribution, or whatever it is, and then they get off scot-free? What do we do here?
Well.
I know you laugh, but come
I'm
on,
laughing because.
let's have some humor.
Yeah, I know, I'm laughing, I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm laughing because campaign contribution, I'm thinking.
We haven't been elected in like 3 years.
Well,
We don't need it.
you know, I'm talking about other communities.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen developers,
Politics,
They'll-
it's a
they'll
dirty
say-
word in some places.
they'll
yeah.
say 300 million, I mean, they'll say, you know, like
Oh, yeah.
millions of dollars in impact fees by just giving the right donations. And I'm not saying that's happening here, but what I am asking is, have we got to the point here where we do an impact development fee on a lot going from the unimproved state to where you put a house on it? And should we be doing that?
Something we could look into.
I think you really should, because it's a fair thing to do.
Could look into that, definitely. Thank you for the advice.
Yeah, both of you, thank you.
I have it written down.
That,
I'll get some
our
names.
concern is
if
that
we-
all of these funds be earmarked specifically. It's one of the concerns, at least the people in my circle.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that these funds do not just go into a general fund. These need to be specific. If you're going to raise our taxes, they darn sure well better go specifically to what they are intended to do, and it better be the same in 10 years and 20 years. That's our concern.
Amen.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Yes.
I think when I hear that, first of all, thank you for your input, we really appreciate it. You can make sure if you come here once a month, every second Tuesday to the meeting, you will be informed, you will know what we are doing. I haven't seen anybody in the last couple of meetings, except 1 or 2 meetings, where I saw residents sitting here. Most of the time, these chairs are empty. And I have a really hard time with receiving criticism if I see or not criticism, if I receive saying we're not inclusive, we're not publicizing the information correctly, but I do not see anyone of our residents sitting here during the city
You
council.
should have more tax increases and then.
Don't break your mouth.
No, but the point that she made on,
Excuse me,
the point she made on
excuse
the,
me.
you know, what the development fees.
Two minutes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I want to finish. So I'm encouraging everyone to please get involved in our community. Because if you're involved, you will make a difference. That's why I'm sitting here. I want to make a difference for our residents in our community. This is what I think is my privilege as a resident. With the government we are having, that we can do that every resident has a chance to make a difference. And not just showing up once a year on a special meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And-
Well,
And you had really.
you can earmark those lot development fees to give the developers some sense of assurance that it's just not going into the general fund.
We will definitely talk to council on how we would accomplish that, okay?
We're transparent as can be.
It's in our best interest too.
Yeah.
We're living
And we're paying
here as
that money
well.
too, and I just went on pension, and I'm like, oh, okay.
But what I'm gonna say about making sure that these funds are used the proper way, we are gonna earmark, because we have another October 1st, on the first week of October, we will, reserve funds in the fund balance. Just for these 5 cents. Okay?
If you will do that, that will. at
Okay,
least
that's
assure us-
because we're reserving funds for the 90 days that we have to have for our city charter. We're reserving funds for the future park development that we plan on, and we'll reserve those funds also for the fire department, not for the EMS. Okay, so then that will ensure that those funds will always be there. Okay? That's the one thing I can think about. That's the only thing I can. That would be the solution.
That will be something.
Yes, all right. Do I have a motion?
Yes, if I may, there. Pursuant to ordinance number 2023-05. Which is the second reading of ordinance number 2023-05, adopting the 2023 ad valorem tax rate. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.454124, which is effectively a 25.13% increase in the tax rate with a maintenance and operation rate component of 0.42723.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Tolan, seconded by Councilmember Dr. Romero to approve ordinance number 2023-05.
Councilmember Romero,
Yes.
Councilmember Tolan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Digglebale,
Yes.
Mayor Curtin.
Yes,
Retain.
then we do the INS.
We need to read the caption for, let me read. Mayor, let me read the caption for 05, or do you want me to wait for the INS?
Do the both and then we did that.
Okay, that's it.
I'll make a motion on ordinance number 2023-06.
2023-05.
In consideration and possible action on the second reading of ordinance 2023-05. I move that we adopt as a component of the tax rate of the interest and sinking fund rate of 0.026888. I second that.
Motion made by Councilmember Bryan, seconded by Councilmember Tolan to approve the INS tax rate for 2023-2024.
Councilmember Romero,
Yes.
Councilmember Tolan.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Digglebale?
Yes.
Mayor Carter?
And just so everybody knows, the INS pays for the bonds that were taken out to build the parks 13 years ago. And about 7 years left down.
Ordinance number 2023-05, an ordinance by the town council of the town of Laguna Vista, Cameron County, Texas, levying an ad valorem taxes for use and support of the municipal government of the town of Laguna Vista, Texas for 2023, providing for appointing each levy for specific purposes and providing when taxes shall become due and when same shall become delinquent if not paid.
Item number 2, ordinance number 2023-06, consideration of possible action on the second reading of ordinance number 2023-06, adopting 2023-2024 fiscal year budget. Randy.
So before you is the second reading of the ordinance we went over last night. This has the budget as depicted by department and supporting documents in exhibit A. Nothing was changed from last night, so it's presented to you as the same.
For everybody, we have a huge shortfall in our building permits for this year, and we predict that to continue actually in the coming year with the interest rates the way they are, and we're hoping that the developers will develop that. We'll see how it goes. That we have $125,000 deduction in that budget item, so that's part of it. The budget item. Just wanted to let that, I guess, know that.
Motion to move forward with, ordinance number 2023-06. Action on the second reading of the ordinance number, adopting the 2023-24 fiscal year budget.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Gonzalez, second by Councilmember Trolling to approve ordinance number 2023-06.
Councilmember Romero?
Yes.
Councilmember Cullen?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Digglebale?
Yes.
Mayor Carter?
Yes. Item 3, ordinance number,
Sorry, let me read it. Ordinance 2023-06. An ordinance by the town council of the town of Laguna Vista, Texas, providing for appropriations for the support of the town of Laguna Vista, Texas for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, and adopting the annual budget of the town of Laguna Vista for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Item 3, ordinance number 2023-07, consideration possible action on second reading of ordinance number 2023-07, designating restricted and designated fund balance for 2022-2023 fiscal year.
So this is what Mayor was referring to earlier. This is the second reading of the ordinance wherein we are going to designate in our fund balance. This one will be for the $580,000. This will cover our operating expenses for 90 days, which per our home rule charter, we have to keep that in a reserve fund. So that will be earmarked for that fund. And starting in October, you guys will see a similar ordinance that will earmark the difference of the new year's expenses, so we can maintain that 90-day balance that we need to obtain. It will earmark the money for the parks, and now we will earmark a fund for the 5% 5 cent EMS. See, now you see it. So this is where we will help do the control of where the money's going, and it will show as designated, designated and or restricted.
And it will also ensure that in future boards, if we're not here anymore, that they will have to publicly take those funds out in front of everybody to use those funds. And so that's how we will ensure that our city is protected in future boards. So I'll make a motion to adopt, to approve ordinance number 2023-07. Motion made by Mayor Carter, seconded by Councilmember Digglebale to approve ordinance number 2023-07.
Councilmember Romero?
Yes.
Councilmember Tolan.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Digglebale.
Yes.
Mayor Carter.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance by the town council of the town of Laguna Vista, Texas, providing for appropriations for the support of the town of Laguna Vista, Texas, shall designate restricted and dedicated use of fund balance per the 2011 home rule charter.
Very good. And we're the adjournment.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Gonzalez to adjourn.
Councilmember Romero.
Yes.
Councilmember Tolan.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Digglebale.
Yes.
Mayor Carter.
Yes. I just want to thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you all. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your input.
You bet. And thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Why not?